The more I got into my research, the better the story got. I realized that Frans Blom also had an adventure in the area where I live. I have been living now in Falster for about 20 years. I continued the research in archives and all the sources I could find, and it was my great luck that I actually found a source that might be the grandson of Frans Blom. I soon realized that this story was filled with visuals, pictures and pictures and pictures. To me, it's very easy to visualize, and that's also what I'm doing when I'm writing articles in magazines and newspapers. That sometimes is difficult for others to understand, but to me it makes it more living and authentic. I use this technique to tell the stories in a way that I find is the most appropriate to emphasize what I think is important and what could be interesting to the readers and the listeners, and now also the viewers. One of my first visuals I saw and that I love so much is the young Frans Blom, who is walking from his home in Storkomske in Copenhagen, passing Nyhavn and walking towards the fashionable D'Angleterre. D'Angleterre has been hosting two famous actors and musicians from all over the world, and the Palm Garden in D'Angleterre was the place where Frans Blom as a womanizer or a courtier, and definitely a drunk. And this brings us to what is the meaning of making this movie. And I really have to go back to Frans's life. His life could, at a glance, seem to be very unhappy, and how does one's future actually look when you have no education, you have no plans for an education, and you're drunk most of the time? It annoyed his daddy so much that he bought a one-way ticket to America. At that time, America was the place to go to restless young people to find happiness or to look for happiness, maybe get a business, maybe get an education, anything. The most important thing is that Frans's daddy wanted to get rid of his son. Drifting around with part-time jobs here and there until he, by I don't know why, but he got into Mexico. From the very first day, he was amazed about Mexico, and I don't question that, because at that time and in Mexico the revolution was just in the last phase, and everything was going on in Mexico, and the culture and the music, everything was new to Frans, and he loved it right from the start. Getting a job as an accountant was way out of everybody's mind, because would he really be able to handle other people's money when he was so lousy handling his own economy? But he got into the job and he got used to it, and he was actually quite good at it. He soon got into the science of handling money, debit and credit, and he was very very acquainted by his daily work there, and he got into some kind of routine that made his life a little more organized, being an accountant. Nobody would know that, but he got a part of his job was to manage the wages for the workers all around in the different districts in Tabasco and the nearby communities. One thing was that he should manage the money and the wages, but his job was also actually to get on a mule and pay them their wages. And this is one of the most beautiful stories I'd love to see in the movie, because one day when Frans was riding out with loads of money on his mule in 2 leather bags on the flank of the bestia of the mule, he was held up by the very Pancho Villa. Remember that Mexico was in the last days of the revolution, and it looked like that the rebellions would take over. But as in every revolution, you always need money. And the only way that Pancho Villa, Emiliano Zapata, and their followers could get money was by simple robbery. That was their task, and for that reason, Frans Blom was one of the victims. Funny thing is that when he was held up, Pancho Villa said to Frans, "Deme el dinero, give me all your money." And Frans was pretty cool, and he just looked at them and he said, "Well, you'll get the money, but I need a receipt. Otherwise, you won't get your money. I need a receipt, please." And Pancho Villa looked at him, and he was astonished and very surprised that this tall young guy was so clever that he demanded a receipt that he was robbed. "No police, no going to the police station. I just need a receipt from the rebellions." Fun fact about this meeting, this historical meeting, is that Pancho Francisco Villa is in the same name category as Frans. In Mexico, Francisco is often shortened to Pancho, and Frans was not at that moment called Pancho, but his name was definitely Francisco. Frans. So the two guys had something in common, the name and the stolen money. It is an incident that has to be seen on a screen. Imagine this young, strange, tall, bony, young stranger being robbed by bandits and being so cool that we could just envy him to be that cool. Frans got his receipt and he went back to the administration in the oil company and said, "Well, I couldn't pay the workers their wages because I was robbed. I was robbed. Yes, I was robbed, but I have a receipt. I do have a receipt that I was robbed. That way you can see that I didn't spend the money on myself, on cheap liquor and ladies." History of Frans Blom and his life and his adventure I do not want to tell here. My actual purpose about this is to tell about the being, the working of a movie, a trailer about spending 6 months in the jungle in Mexico and the very process, and getting to the fact that when we use the will, we can do anything. as long as you have a will. And we do have a will, because it's written that God gave us a will. The very God that we have in common gave us a will to do what we want. The purpose of this movie is also to tell that with preparation, I have used 3 years to prepare myself for this project, but with preparation and some kind of purpose, we can actually enjoy the last third of our lives, or the first third of our lives, or the middle of our lifespan. It is possible. So far, I have been told many times, people who watch and follow me on this adventure, they find it very inspiring. And for that reason, I've decided to make this and to publish this as a video or as a podcast to share my experience of life and how to get the best out of it. The mispronunciation is probably because when I have been in a country where they don't speak Danish that much, there could be some kind of inflation in the consonants. I haven't been speaking Danish for half a year, and I've actually started to think in Spanish. The only time I talk my native language is when I talk to myself, when I'm rehearsing my voice, and when I'm talking in my sleep. My statement is that it is not important that the movie come true and that it hits the big white screen. The most important is that I have spent 3 years that filled me with joy and pleasure and hope.
Únicamente aquellos que son ellos mismos en el mundo pueden completar su propia naturaleza. Únicamente aquellos que pueden completar su propia naturaleza pueden completar la naturaleza de otros. Solamente aquellos que pueden completar la naturaleza de otros pueden completar la naturaleza de las cosas. Y aquellos que pueden completar la naturaleza de las cosas son dignos de ayudar a la naturaleza en su tarea de hacer crecer y sostener la vida. Y aquellos que son dignos de ayudar a la naturaleza en su tarea de hacer crecer y sostener la vida son iguales al cielo y a la tierra.